Well, it's been more than a month since major structural deficits led to the collapse of a 21-story building under construction here in Lagos State. An incident which led to the untimely deaths of close to 40 persons, and that's according to the final figures released by the Lagos State government. In the interval between then and now, there has been confirmed reports and incidences of other cases of building collapse in the metropolis, also with similar loss of lives and property. These developments have come to highlight the sheer weight of problem clearly inherited by the state government. On its own part, however, is the government making the right intervention to prevent more avoidable losses? Now, for a short discourse on preventing the next building collapse, either in Lagos or anywhere else in Nigeria, we're now being joined by real estate expert Chudi Kalu. I want to say thank you very much for joining us
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
And Chudi, certainly looking at how things played out here in Lagos State, it was quite devastating for both people who had loved ones trapped in the building and those who just stood by the sides and watched this building go down. And we could not help those that were trapped in the building. For you, how did you take this particular story? And do you think it could have been avoidable? What can we do in the immediate to probably ensure that things like this do not happen again?
I think my condolences to every family who have lost loved ones and also investment. I think it can't be avoidable. I think everybody just needs to do what is right. Both the players in the real estate market and also the government. Proper regulation needs to be checked and monitored in terms of what type of building come up and all of that. I think majorly everybody just needs to play their own part a bit more. And those in charge of supervision needs to clearly play their own role well in supervising structures and all of that.
And speaking of supervision, the panel, we know a panel of inquiry has been set up, and I think they were given about a month to come back with their findings. Yeah. I'm wondering, as a real estate expert, whichever findings that they do come back with, is this something that's going to be implementable? Or I guess what I'm trying to ask is, what kind of changes need to be made, immediate changes within the real estate sector?
I think all players within the real estate market and also the regulators need to come together. Okay. There needs to be proper engagement of how property developers and property and those who regulate property construction and all of that, and everybody in that space needs to clearly define a path for which developments are being organized, and such that at the end of the day, everybody, because at the end of the day, because it affects everybody, not just the players, the property developers, but every other individuals. So all stakeholders need to come together to form a cohesive agenda that works for everybody within the space.
Really quickly, what shocked you most about the collapse and the information that came out, documenting 15 stories, 21 stories? What shocked you most about the information you heard when the building collapsed?
I was shocked because there were conflicting reports, 15-story, 21-story, this was approved, this wasn't approved, and all of that. But I think management of information is also very key in addressing, because you're also talking to the public too. You also the public needs to work with accurate information, so that we will not be able to manage the information that goes out. So what shocked me is the management of information, not clearly because we don't have the final investigation. The investigation hasn't yet been concluded or so. So we may not know what the actual situation really is. But clearly the management of information was poor by both those in charge of disseminating this information to the public and every other person involved. I think that's where there is a disconnection between the property developers and also those involved in regulating building construction.
All right, let me put this out there, because ever since this unfortunate incident happened, I've met probably marketers walk up to me and say, we've got a lot to sell, and I just roll my eyes and like,
We've got
It's like, what floor is it
literally,
on?
I look at it because I see them right now as dead traps because since no one is policing them properly. But talk to me about the ripple effect on the real estate market
of course.
post this incident.
Of course, the real estate market in Nigeria has taken a hit, whether we like it or not. Not just only Nigeria, but also some other nations, smaller nations that are looking up to Nigeria. So there's that hit. And everybody, once there's a hit like that, there is that drawback from investors. So you have a lot of people who says, okay, don't worry, I want to develop this structure. But when you look at what has happened, that's why I said, okay, there's a disconnect. And the information the report that comes after this will determine whether people will be able to continue in that investing their money into such kind of real estate. But there's also the part that we also need to get clear in terms of it is not how high the building is that determines that maybe there will be a collapse. It is if we do not follow the proper procedure, there's probably going to be that collapse. So what I would really advise is at this particular stage, all the players need to become responsible enough to be able to push out, make sure that things are done properly.
Okay.
Right. I know, I had the same thing too. Every time I drive down a couple of these roads and I see high-story buildings, it gives the palatable fear. Yeah. And can you, I mean, you are in the real estate business. You're not part of the regulators, but do you have any other recommendations for how to avoid such mishaps in the future?
My one advice to every property developer is even if the government aren't really engaging you, I think you should engage the government too. It's also, or you engage the regulators. There's something that I would always advise. There's always this test that whenever you want to do your construction, there's this test that you carry out. You can individually carry out within your test and take that test to go and assess whatever to get a result. It's not necessarily if you have to take it to the government, but at least it will help you and guide you properly in the way in how you operate your. Because even if your construction workers see how you engage more in terms of running your tests on a regular basis, their confidence is built on the project.
Yeah.
I want to say many thanks to you, Chudi, for stopping by today, and we actually hope the real estate market bounce back and are struggle for it.
Yes.